All right, welcome to the collapse experiment. I see there is somebody who's eagerly waiting for this, so I decided to start 2 minutes early, only for you, Martin. I was just looking over the articles I had anyways, so this is the collapse experiment where I try to shuffle through the news to weed out the wheat from the chaff, if you will. The poop from the fertilizer. And I do have some articles from over the weekend that I realized there were no videos over the weekend. Thank you, Window. I had no idea that you wanted me to update something that I don't want to buy. Thanks. Anyways, to get started, there's two articles I don't have on the collapseexperiment.com that I'd just like to briefly mention because they're either, I don't know, entertaining or news, but not really part of the collapse. One is Elon Musk is not joining the board of Twitter, which I think is hysterically funny because he can still in a roundabout way dictate policy through making a tweet. If he says something about Twitter sucks, I don't know why I bought this, the stock plummets, and yeah, or if he says, I think I'll buy some more. He has ways of affecting Twitter outside of being on the board. And from my guess, his experience on the board for the few days that it existed was not all that great. So the other thing I wanted to mention was, and I lost it. That sucks. I can't remember what the hell the other article was. Oh yeah, it popped up. It was actually it popped up in my feed. A new wave of COVID is coming, and Americans don't seem to care. Because we don't. Moving on. China's lockdowns may be partially a ploy to tamper with supply chains, highlight U.S. independence expert. Yeah, this is through the Epoch Times, but it's also on the collapseexperiment.com and Zero Hedge. And it is, let's see here, when you do connect to it, let's see here. It's taking me directly to the article, which is through a paywall. That's not going to work. And this is not, oh boy. I am not the most savvy. Let's see here. So if I do recall, it was discussing how China was basically shutting stuff down in order to mess with us. They were trying to say that it was a part of like not necessarily Russia's war plan, but and we're telling them there's going to be we're going to punish them for helping Russia. I think China is just thinking of it as like, who are you to tell us anything? And for the most part, they're right. I remember finding a book back, well, the book was from the late 60s, maybe the early 70s, and unfortunately I don't have it anymore, but it was saying the 21st century, the century for China. And funny, a book from what, 50, 60 years ago now. They were already discussing this type of thing, so shouldn't really be surprised. All right, my phone is acting up. Okay. Unique atmospheric site over Alaska ignites wild social media speculation. This was also through Zero Hedge. There are photos, and I do have to say, there was the three big ones were Russians, aliens, plane crash is what people thought that this was. And when you look at it close up, whatever is creating the trail here in the sky is 100% not a plane, but yet they're trying to say that it was the positioning of the sun and the way that the light was reflecting off of it, blah blah blah. But after Alaska State Troopers flew a reconnaissance mission in the area, they found nothing. Well, if it's aliens, of course you're going to find nothing. Officials eventually revealed the bizarre cloud was a contrail for a commercial jet. I call BS. These photos are... I watch the sunset here all the time. My kids, they see the planes up in the sky and they call them Rocket Man. Because they think it's they think it's actual rockets like going to the moon or something. And I have never seen contrails that look like this, for one. Two, compared to, man, let's see here. I don't know if you can see it or not. That little speck there, right? That is not creating that size of a contrail. I don't care what they say. I don't know if it was a giant meteorite or, I mean, there wasn't any explosion or anything like that. There wasn't anything left after it went by, but I'm just saying, I think this might be something interesting to look into further. This was a horrible article. Biden to announce new ghost gun rules at Rose Garden ceremony. Yay. So today will be the big day for Biden administration as the long-awaited rule on ghost guns would be formally revealed by the president. I don't understand their logic behind ghost guns, considering that it was already deemed unconstitutional for them to have a registry of guns. So technically, any gun that you own that they don't have registered is a ghost gun, right? I mean, isn't that what they're complaining about? Well, there's no serial number. If you don't have the serial number, why do you need it? So there's also a new nominee to lead the Bureau of Child Dog Killing, Child Burning, Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or the ATF. Yeah. If you want to know more about them, just watch Waco. USA Today reports President Biden and Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco will unveil new rules targeting do-it-yourself kits. So they're trying to put Brendan Herrera out of business, otherwise known as 80% lowers. Okay. The lower receivers come unserialized and take a few hours of drilling and assembling an upper receiver to produce a fully functional firearm. Still not seeing what's illegal here. The weapons contain no serial number, making it challenging for the government to track and trace. That thing that the Supreme Court already said was unconstitutional. Wow. So another example of the Supreme Court doesn't mean shit. Why do we have them? Who gives a crap? USA Today said the announcement would be made during a Rose Garden ceremony, suggesting Biden's anti-gun coalition groups will be in attendance. Like Alec Baldwin. Ahead of Biden's announcement, the U.S. Department of Justice published a press release with new details of how it will submit to the Federal Register the frame or receiver final rule, which modernizes the definition of a firearm. Yeah, this is this neat trick that the left or the Democrats have come up with, where they're like, if this doesn't work for us, we'll just redefine it. Like women, it's convenient that the Supreme Court justice nominee doesn't know what the hell a woman is, even though she's, as far as we know, because I'm not a biologist, she's a woman. Last time, I didn't check. I would assume, but that's me being a bigot. Anyways, yeah, they just changed the definitions of stuff to get what they want, which is hysterically funny. And the ATF has been doing this already. There was a recent case where a trigger manufacturer was sent a cease and desist letter because they decided to redefine what a firearm was, and they were like, yeah, you don't make the laws. Congress does that. Who the hell are you? That's not your job. And no, we're going to continue to sell these triggers, and you're not getting our files as to who we sold them to. I wish we had more people with, I don't know, balls in this country, but I'm not a biologist, so but I would assume these guys have massive balls. And as for the ATF, let me read this again. Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. I'm pretty sure all of these are legal things that you can purchase. So why do we need a whole bureau of these for these things, which are legal? And when they show up, like, the penalty is they shoot your dog first. I don't understand why they even exist. It's like Homeland Security. We already didn't have the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Pentagon. Like, we have all these different things that are supposed to ensure the security of our homeland, and we need the Department of Homeland Security because the other group. Why do we have the other groups if we created Homeland Security? I just don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, ghost guns. Russian oil continues to flow to India and China. I wonder if we're going to do anything about that. So last week I did mention how the U.S. was threatening China, saying that we would sanction them like we did Russia if they were caught supporting Russia in any way, bypassing the sanctions. Of course, when they stated this, India and China had already made deals to buy Russian oil using the ruble. So, yeah, let's see what this has to say. China and India are emerging as Russia's main crude buyers. Duh, we already knew that. Russia's ESPO blend is especially popular among Asian refiners. Russia's Ural's crude is trading at discounts of more than $30 per barrel. So, sounds like free trade capitalism to me. Don't know why we'd have a problem with that. It has been exactly 6 weeks since Russia invaded Ukraine with no end in sight to one of humanity's biggest existential crisis in modern times. In response to Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war, gotta add that in. The United States and the West have hit the rogue nation with a plethora of sanctions, with the latest announced just days ago, mostly targeting Russia's financial sector. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it's, so far I'm not seeing any new news here. But so far, Russia's pivotal energy sector has largely been spared, with the exception of Lithuania and Poland, as well as self-sanctioning by refiners and bankers. No country has yet to announce a ban on Russia's energy products. Yeah, because Putin pretty much knows what's up. Green energy it's not how you run a country. It's not how you run a war. And apparently Biden doesn't want us to get involved in any wars anyways, because he's dipping into the, I don't know, National Reserve. So that's the whole point of the National Reserve. So far, Russia oil and gas exports to the EU remain largely unchanged since only the Baltic states have announced a 100% ban on Russian energy imports. Poland, a major thoroughfare for Russian energy suppliers, has also been more proactive than most after it took steps to block Russian coal imports and announced steps to halt Russian oil imports by year end, meaning we don't know what we're going to do. We need to find alternatives, and that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, for some reason, this article is from Alex Kamani at oilprice.com. Seems to be more interested in bragging about how smart he is on what's been happening with oil than what the article is supposed to be about. That's unfortunate. China undercuts sanctions on Russia. Where are the consequences? Let's find out. Let's see here. For China, the Ukrainian crisis provided a unique opportunity to increase its access to Russia's natural resources, particularly gas, gain contracts for infrastructure projects, and new markets for Chinese technology. And turn Russia into a junior partner in the relationship. Okay. In addition to undermining sanctions through the commodities trade, China is possibly also helping Russia hide its money. True. Despite all the above, the Biden administration continues to talk about China as if proof were still needed that it is undercutting sanctions on Russia. Okay. I'm just going to put this straight. I worked as a janitor for 17 years, and I currently work as a driver. I wouldn't even say a truck driver. I'm not that I'm not highly educated. I don't have a degree. But I will say I've known for 2 weeks now that China's been doing this shit. It's in the news. It's obvious. It's like right out there in your face. And for some reason, yeah, the Biden administration continues to talk about China as if proof were still needed that it is undercutting sanctions on Russia. Kind of reminds me of Biden's laptop. I mean, it's like, you still need proof on that one. It's Russian disinformation. China has clearly been given material help to Russia, so where are the consequences? Yeah, man. Just say corn pop is in China and things will start happening. The closest that the U.S. has come to going beyond words is the announcement, along with other G7 leaders, of an enforcement initiative to prevent Russia from evading sanctions, but it is presumably deliberately unclear what the initiative actually entails. Yeah, no kidding. The trade and the purchase of long-term energy supplies undercut the sanctions because it shows Putin has got somebody in his corner for the next 5 years or more. Yeah. I have to believe at this point that Biden is basically just saying things to China that he thinks the public wants him to say, while at the same time knowing he can't do shit, because the moment we put sanctions on China and they close the ports again, yeah, we're already having problems with our supermarkets and the stores, and China shuts down again or closes their doors to us. I just don't see millennials and Gen Z going out into the fields and picking strawberries, even though that would be the only way for them to get strawberries. But they will riot if they go into a Starbucks and they say, I'd like my grande mocha frappuccino frappe with vegan cream. And then they'll be like, we don't have any coffee. Dude, just you get it off the shelf, right? That's where it comes from. It goes on the, no, we don't have any on the shelf. Well, you get it from the back room, right? There's nothing in the back room. They act like there's this magic room in these stores that stuff just appears from. Like, you don't have to be cruel to cows. You can just go to the store and buy a steak. I've heard these stories where they're like, we need to stop industrial farming. You can just get it at the store. As if things weren't already becoming scary in the United States. Hate speech. LinkedIn disables Air Force vets account after criticizing loan forgiveness. Now all of a sudden, LinkedIn thinks that they are Twitter. So this is actually by Zero Hedge. They didn't get this from anywhere else. We have discussed the expanding censorship programs at Twitter, Facebook, and other social media. These programs have notably targeted conservative viewpoints on contemporary controversies. Controversies. That's a weird word to use here. Now, LinkedIn has added its company name to this ignoble effort, according to an Air Force veteran whose account was disabled after criticizing the calls for loan forgiveness. Let's see here. The site declared opposing to the Democratic plan for loan forgiveness to be hate speech. Because it's everyone else's problem that you don't know how to manage your finances. AOC, with $170K a year and can't pay off $17,000 in loans with an economics degree. Yeah. Might want to get a refund on that one. Smith is the founder of a nonprofit organization, Code of Vets, a group created in honor of her father who died at 57 after years of struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. Like many Americans, she opposed the loan forgiveness calls from Democratic members and has shared her own use of military service to help pay for college. Smith posted her take on student loan forgiveness on various social media platforms. And I quote, I am not responsible for your student debt. I grew up in poverty in North Carolina, ate from a garden. Name was on Community Angel Tree for Christmas. Bought clothes from yard sales. And if I was lucky, on a rare occasion, Sky City. I joined the Air Force, then went to college. I made it happen. Right on. Good for her. Then she shares on Twitter. This is great. So after she gets blocked at LinkedIn, she shares on Twitter that she was blocked, which unfortunately probably gave Twitter a good idea as to what to do. I was locked out of my LinkedIn just now for this exact post below. It went viral. This is the second time this platform has targeted me. I'm frustrated and disappointed. Freedom of speech has been secured by our blood, sweat, and lives. This has got to stop. Yeah. No, I agree with her on two aspects. One, LinkedIn really shouldn't be picking a political point of view. They should just be linking people with the best credentials to the best jobs. That's pretty simple, right? That should just be like their motto for their business is like linking the best people to the best jobs. But no, they have to play this stupid ass political game. So yeah, hate speech. Gotta love it. I believe that's not illegal. So and it looks like there are two more articles, and then I will get to the questions and comments. China's breathtaking nuclear expansion confirmed. Beijing officials cite fear of U.S.-led regime change. Why would they be scared of that? We don't have a history of doing that. That's just nuts. They're paranoid, conspiracy theorists. The Chinese government has greatly accelerated its nuclear weapons program due to a revised threat assessment of risk posed by the United States. That's silly. According to a new in-depth Wall Street Journal report that cites both Chinese and U.S. officials, it follows a Pentagon assessment from last year, which laid out Beijing's drive to modernize, diversify, and expand its nuclear arsenal. Okay, so while we've been concentrating on the whole die aspect for our government and companies, which is diversity, inclusivity, and equality, equity. I don't know. Something that begins with an E. They've been modernizing, diversifying, and expanding, and something that will actually help them in the future. And the fresh Wall Street Journal investigative report appears to confirm the prior U.S. military assessment that China seeks to expanding land, sea, and air-based nuclear delivery platforms while establishing more necessary infrastructure to support it. Yeah, it's not scary at all. Let's see here. Then they've got the Japan Times testimony by head of the U.S. Strategic Command showed for the first time that China's ICBM launched hypersonic glide vehicle tested in July flew 40,000 kilometers for more than 100 minutes. Holy crap. Yeah, and we can't get our hypersonic missiles working. Because that's what happens when you concentrate on die instead of, what's the Chinese doing here again? Let's see here. Modernize, diversify, and expand. Yeah, might want to start concentrating on that instead of following Millie's example of like wanting to understand white rage. Yeah, we've definitely got our heads up our asses here. And the last article, and this one is pretty scary for the most part. I don't understand what the hell they're thinking. It's almost like the EU and the United States are purposely planning on a war on two fronts, which never goes good for anyone, ever, at any time. NATO to engage in Asia Pacific to counter China. So apparently we've already declared war on them. This is Zero Hedge via the Epoch Times. North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, has announced that it will begin engaging in Asia Pacific region both practically and politically in light of Beijing's growing influence and coercion and its unwillingness to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Oh, darn. That's like when Bush was saying, if you're not with us, you're with the terrorists. Okay, dog. Let's see here. Speaking following the meetings of NATO ministers of foreign affairs, he doesn't like it when I do voices. He's quite the critic. Hunter. Hi. It's okay. Speaking following the meetings of NATO ministers of foreign affairs on April 7th, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the global implications of the Ukrainian conflict had propelled the organization to step up its engagement with Asia-Pacific partners for the first time. Hi, it's fine. I know, you don't like Bush. That's fine. All right? He's no longer president. You don't have to worry about that. We have seen that China is unwilling to condemn Russia's aggression, and Beijing has joined Moscow in questioning the right of the nations to choose their own path. I don't recall that. I think they just said that they didn't want to participate. This is a serious challenge to us all, and it makes it even more important that we stand together to protect our values. Yeah, I don't really see NATO or the EU being capable of engaging in the Pacific. I don't like you have to look at supply chains, and it was a very long and involved and costly war that we waged against Japan during World War II. Vietnam. Whenever you're fighting a war on the other side of the planet, yeah, you're going to have some major issues. Like, you cannot respond immediately to different situations. So I don't know if they understand what exactly they're getting into here. It just like if this is in reference to Taiwan, China can basically do whatever they want with Taiwan, considering how close they are to it. As for the United States and the EU, good luck. You're showing up to the after party, and you're going to be told to go home because China wants it. They'll take it. So I believe that was the last article. All right, on to questions, comments, and death threats. Let's see here. How bad did Obama make Biden look at the White House recently? Yeah, people are really eating that one up. It's obvious that there's a difference between being a celebrity, Obama, and being the president, Biden. Biden has the title, but Obama is the one everybody wants to take pictures with. And considering that Biden's still playing second fiddle to Obama, not good. Definitely not good. We are fortunate to have a system in place where Obama can't run for a third term, because I have a feeling if he did, he'd probably win. And you have to bring back the kill list and the wars and, oh God, the war on journalists. Yeah, all the fun stuff that Obama had. Also, what is up with the hugging and necking with Obama at the White House? Are they trying to give Biden I think I got COVID. Yeah, all right. So Nancy Pelosi, kissed Biden on the cheek or something? And then there was a bunch of hugging going on, a bunch of people in a closed room indoors. While they're saying that COVID is on the rise again and that COVID is not over, nobody's wearing masks. I forget how many staffers at the White House tested positive recently. Psaki tested positive. Hillary tested positive. The head of the Nancy Pelosi tested positive. Although I think hers was more of like a positive of convenience, if you will, considering that she was supposed to visit a certain country, and China was like, yeah, there's going to be consequences if you do that. I think that was her easy out and maybe a quick vacation by saying that she tested positive. But hey, it's the science. We're not supposed to question it. So if she tested positive, that means that she has COVID, and it's not political at all. And when she's on camera a day or two before kissing Biden and giving him a hug, we should just assume that Biden's probably going to die, and Kamala Harris the suicide rate will go up. That's what will happen. Um, isn't Biden trying to sign something that will allow minors to decide if they can have hormone blockers or transition surgeries? I don't know about that. I would not be surprised, but I have a feeling that that would be a very quick. I think that would be overturned fairly quickly by certain courts, deeming that minors do not have the right to consent. So that's also something that the Democrats are trying to change. They're trying to change the definition of what consent is and the legal age. And if they can't consent to having sex with an adult of any age, how can they consent to cutting off their genitalia? As for the hormone blockers or transition surgeries, that should definitely be illegal. If you're not over the age of 18, I don't care if the parents are signing on it. For one, that's a situation of child abuse, and that's when CPS should be called in. If it's parents saying that, like, yeah, my son can cut off his testicles, they're his. There's definitely a history of mental disorder in that family, if that's the case. When I was growing up, one of my friends, it was a house divided into apartments, and my best friend at the time, because we're like, what, 4 or 5, lived downstairs from me, and his dad was paranoid schizophrenic and heard the word of God and did a job as a carpenter. Now, a lot of this doesn't sound crazy until he takes his hand to a table saw and is walking around saying, is that good enough, Lord? Do you want more? And then the medics show up and they're putting him on oxygen, throwing him in the back of an ambulance, and 3 or 4 of his fingers are not going with him. So I don't see a big difference between a grown adult willingly chopping off his fingers because a voice in his head told him to, and a child who is wanting to chop off certain parts of their body because a voice in school suggested it. There's a huge problem here, and I don't understand why, for one, teachers that are suggesting this kind of thing to students aren't being prosecuted, because this is a form of child abuse. And if it was some 20-something that was sleeping with a 17-year-old student in his high school class, his ass would be in jail. If it's a 30-something, not sure because her name is Pat what it is, telling her students you can be any gender you want, yes, take these estrogen blockers and cut your tits off, she's a hero. I don't understand the difference here. They're both abuse in my view. Let's see here. Let's see here. Have to get on a work call. We'll watch the rest on replay. Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's the end of it. Cutting this one short at almost 40 minutes. Don't really have anything else to talk about at the moment. A lot of stuff going on here. Busy weekend, and hoping to get some more stuff done before I have to pick up the youngest one in a couple hours. So hope everyone's doing well, and keep on typing.